Wonderful, we're up and running. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here at our 17th meetup. So welcome all to Amazon Melbourne office. Many of you who I'm sure have come here before, but also welcome any new faces. So tonight will be K8SUG Australia's 17th meetup. And before we get started, just a quick note about photos. So we encourage all of you here tonight to help us promote the event as well. And you'll notice we'll be taking some photos throughout the evening. So just a note that these will be shared via LinkedIn, and we welcome you to also explain automatically. Sorry about that. There is my Zoom. So please also share any photos I make post via social media to help us spread the word. So just before we get in formally, acknowledge and on behalf of Kubernetes Australia, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the owners of the land of Kubernetes on which we are gathered here tonight. Pay respects to the leaders, elders, past, present, emerging, and our agenda. So I'll finish the introduction and pass on to the account. And we have two exciting topics lined up. So first, we have from Mark from Spot.io, optimize and automate your container structure. And secondly, we have the topic of Kubernetes 0.7 to 1.3 by Kanchana from K8SUG. So thank you both for presenting and sponsoring our event tonight. And tonight is a very special milestone as we're actually celebrating Kubernetes' 10th birthday. So to mark this event, we will have special topics from both our organizing team as well as friends from AWS to talk about the past 10 years of innovation as well as EKS for 6 years. Of course, followed by our famous quiz time and swags, group photo. So our mission is that we're very passionate about all technologies surrounding K8SUG, and we aim to accelerate the adoption, and we'll always learn from each other and hope to share the best practices. Thank you very much to our volunteers and organizers who make this happen time and time again. So you'll see many faces, and we're very proud to be in every event. And thank you to the sponsors. So of course, AWS for hosting and also sponsoring the food and swags. We have CNCF, CoCloud, Spotify, and WSO2. And you probably have seen this, but again, this is our global footprint just to remind you of how quickly we're expanding all over the globe. So we have events all over the world now with 4 continents and counting. And excitingly, we're actually launching our second meetup group in Australia. So K8SUG is also arriving in Sydney just next month. So we'll be actually hosting the first event in AWS Sydney just 1 month away, actually. So here are some upcoming events. Feel free to take a photo or follow any of our social media for more updates. But as mentioned, we are launching on the 16th of July in Sydney, and many events across the world to come, which you can catch if you have time. We'll be live streaming or they'll be uploaded to YouTube as per usual. And we are back again next month on the 3rd here in Melbourne as well. So thank you, AWS, for this collaboration all across the world. And finally, from myself, please do also check out these links, especially for speakers and sponsoring. And we really appreciate it if you can join us for an event in the future. So without further ado, I'll hand it to Yokon for the rest of the intro.
Sorry guys, just give us a few more seconds. We want to move this part. It's annoying. We're trying to figure out where is this stuff we should move. Yeah, the QR code actually you can't really scan. Did you guys try all this? Because this part was blocked. So let's just try to fix this first. So one way, looks like it's good. We just fixed. Yeah. Yes. This QR code, if you want to, contribute the photos, if you want to view the photos, this is a QR code. Yeah, the one also I learned from some other community. So last week I joined some other community. I think that this is pretty cool. Yeah, we can, invite everybody to, check the photos, to download, upload the photos. It's a community we can share it. Okay. So once you guys take the screenshot, well, it's a OneDrive. I use my own OneDrive to share. Now let's come back here. First of all, thanks everybody for joining us. Our community is growing so quick. And today we have some exciting stuff to share. And first of all, yeah, I really don't know why it becomes automatically. Yeah, I don't like this. Okay, you guys all seen this before. I almost every month I talk about this, but this time I do it slightly different. So if you guys never seen this, there is a Kubernetes map. Basically, you need to complete all the Kubernetes certifications. And from the map, basically it will show you who completed, who gets the blue jacket worldwide. Listed here, this guy I just added, he just got the new. So this is our number 6 from Australia. So Australia, I tell you what, Australia, we are leading the world. So globally, we only have 200. If including myself, yeah, even I'm living here, I don't count it as a number 1 here. Okay, I count I'm the number 1 globally. Okay, I'm the first one did it globally, and then so far, in just 2 months, a little bit globally, we got about 200 astronauts. So that means all of these guys already completed the Kubernetes exam, all 5. In Australia, especially Melbourne, we did a very good job. We're leading the whole country. Okay, we're potentially leading the whole world. Melbourne City, we got, if we including me, we got 4 astronauts. So if we divide worldwide, how many cities? Yeah, so we are really doing a very good job. So today I'm very excited to invite Gajen to give us a quick, experience sharing, how you can become a Q astronaut. So if you guys are curious, who are the first one? It doesn't include me. So Dennis is the first one from Canberra, and then followed by, I believe that's Oliver from Sydney, and the third one is I think that's Matthew from Perth. And our Melbourne's first one, Gary. Gary, he did a very good job. I'm very surprised. He did the first one, CKA, in 2.5 months, he completed all 5. But don't get me wrong, his experience does help. If you don't have the experience, it doesn't work. Okay, so I'm just to give you some example. You guys can do it if you want to do it. So with that, let me, Jay from NetApp, he's the newest key astronaut. And before him, we got Gajen. He's here. Let me invite Gajen to give a quick experience sharing. Let's give him a applause. Thanks, Gajen.
Yeah, thank you, Young, for this introduction, and I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on learning together Kubernetes. To be precisely, I started my journey in Kubernetes in 2017. So with some open source projects and providers like IBM, OpenShift, and then moving to GKE. So my learning point is to spend as much time as possible working on the open source tools, Minikube and other open source tools like Kubernetes, figuring out crashing clusters and reconstructing. I had experience just before the demo, crashed the cluster and didn't do the demo properly. So those experience will teach you. So I always have a Kubernetes documentation open one tab. So it's always my habit. I always refer to that one. That's my Bible for surviving. So besides that, all the experiences, like I'm very grateful to have worked at Kubernetes providing me opportunities to work on Kubernetes related projects. So with solving enterprise level clients challenges in Kubernetes. So that's my journey so far. I'm happy to share my own personal journey. I think you can find all the resources, how to prepare for those exams. There are tons of resources, people share their experiences. So Killer Shell is the famous tool to practice your exams before your exams as a training tool. And without further delay, thank you very much, Young.
Does that help? I hope it is helpful. Anyone want to be a key astronaut? Or if you don't want to, if you want to get, what he said is, these are the resources can help you to get set. I'm pretty sure, we will continue to lead the whole, country, lead the whole world, become more, we will have more key astronauts. And not to mention, I will help you guys to, get a certified affordable price. Okay, that's my passion, because earlier I spent too much money. There is no discount, not really a big discount. Okay, right now, if you want to keep strong, 48.5% discount. So this is a code Cube K8. The learning platform, I think Gajen also mentioned. So we're not able to give everybody free access. Yeah, we think Code Cloud give us every time we were running the meetup, they give us free access. But on top of that, we also get the discount, 40% discount. Ask your company to pay. Don't pay by yourself, okay? And also celebrate the Kubernetes 10 years. We got a special discount. This is only for our K8SUG members. So you type of K8S 10 years, you can get 40% off across board any Kubernetes exams, any training, or any Linux Foundation exams. I hope it is useful to you guys. So any question? Any question about the certification, Key astronaut? Anyone want to be a Key astronaut? If no other questions, we will get into today's topic. So we have an awesome speaker lineup, and we have a lot more speakers today. Actually, the first topic we already, Luisa already mentioned. We got some Mark. We'll talk about how to optimize and automate your container infrastructure, and then followed by Kanchana will talk about Kubernetes, his own experience. He shared his own journey from Kubernetes 0.7 to 1.3. And then we will have our whole Kubernetes user group, Australia team. We prepared alongside for the last 10 years, the Kubernetes 10 years innovation. Each one of us, we will talk about 1 year. So for the 10 years, okay? Hopefully lots of information will be useful to you guys. And then we will have Frank from Amazon to talk about the ECAS for the last 6 years. Okay, I hope it's a very good topic for tonight. So with that, let me invite Mark to cover the first topic. Let's give him a round of applause.
Oh, I think that's all our housekeeping. I'm sharing on Zoom and I've got my microphone on. Hopefully you all can hear me. Good, very good. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. My name is Mark. So I work for Spot by NetApp. You'll see throughout the presentation, I'll refer to Spot, but Spot is an acquisition made by NetApp. So that's why it is Spot by NetApp. So I won't talk too much around NetApp. NetApp does storage. If you want to know about that, I'm sure there's people who can talk to you about that. I'm going to talk about just the container aspect that we're doing inside Spot. Rather than me just talking to everybody, I thought we'd try and make it a little tiny bit interactive. I know it's hard, but we'll try and see how we go. So I'll keep my questions easy to start with. Stick up your hand if you've ever used Kubernetes in your life. Wow, most people, cool, just what I expect. So I guess mixture across clouds. Some people do run it on-prem. I expect that somebody who runs it on-prem, but presuming you're running it in the cloud, in AWS. All right. Sorry, I forgot to apologize to Frank. I did apologize earlier. I'm going to say the other A word and the G word. So doing that on Amazon Presence on their Office can get me in trouble. But Across Azure, do I have anybody running Kubernetes in Azure? Yeah, a couple. My business colleague, they do refer to that as the dad cloud. So we get a little bit less cloud native technology in there, but I like it. It's good. And then others across Google as well, which they changed it now to Google Cloud. They dropped the platform. So just GC. All right, across any of those, has anybody tried to use spot instances across their Kubernetes clusters? Anyone at all? Cool. How did it go? Are you still using? Still using? Excellent. You doing it yourself or are you using a tool? Carpenter, how dare you? I can't believe you said that word. I was going to get out in front because I know Frank will probably reference it as well, but certainly Carpenter is one that does some similar things to what I'll talk about tonight. I'll try to draw similarities between them and then also the parts that we go beyond what they do as well. Bit of an agenda about the stuff that I'll run through. Some of it is just highlighting the challenges that we face with our customers and the things that we're trying to solve for them with running containers in the cloud. And then what is Ocean? Ocean is obviously our product that we use from a spot, what it actually contains, what is the actual solution that we're doing. I'll try to give you a few customer references. Naming customers can be difficult, so I'll tell you a few anecdotes, but naming customers is difficult. They don't tend to like that for some reason. And then we'll close off with a bit of a summary. So when we look at everybody who's running containers in the cloud, you know, this is from my experience with running with customers. This is also from surveys that we're doing across people doing all sorts of different roles. So whether it's DevOps people, whether it's SREs, whether it's infrastructure managers, whether it's the CFO, whatever it is. Generally, the most common thing I hear from customers I talk to around what their challenge is cost. Especially these days, I face the same challenges when I get my electricity bill in the mail. I think, gee, wish that was lower. Everybody gets the same thing from AWS, from Azure, from Google. They want their costs to be lower. It doesn't matter what they're running, whether it's VMs, whether it's containers, they want the cost to be lower. So that's a challenge for everybody who's consuming cloud, not specific to Kubernetes, but is certainly one that we can help address. The other ones talk to more around how we actually run our Kubernetes platforms in the cloud. Some of them relate to, you know, how do we do multi-cloud? That can be a challenge as much as we all love AWS and want to stay. Multi-cloud is certainly a solution that people want to engage, companies want to engage with. But how do we be efficient in the way that we're running our Kubernetes platforms, both from a resource that we're buying from the hyperscalers, but also with the time of our DevOps and our SAEs? You know, we've only got a certain amount of those. Skill set is hard to come by. Skill set can be expensive for some companies. Retaining resource can be expensive. They want to make sure that they're actually putting them to good use. So some of it is just the efficiency, the management and skill set. The other one that definitely comes up here, particularly when we start talking about the way that we run containers, is the availability. We want to make sure that everything that we run in the cloud is up and available, particularly for all of our customer-facing environments. So whether it's external customers or internal customers, or whatever it is, we want it to be up and available. We don't like getting the calls, which has been a long time since I've done support stuff, but I think I've still got the trauma from it, where you get the calls and say, my stuff's broken. That's not a fun experience for anybody at all. Any other challenges that anybody else has experienced? I'm happy for you to just yell them at me. These are the ones I encounter with customers, the ones that our surveys seem to indicate. Let me move on to what we do. What is Ocean? So Ocean is a product that sits under the Spot portfolio. So Spot by NetApp is our company, and Ocean is our solution that's targeting containerized environments. So this is our marketing paragraph, or two paragraphs, two sentences, which I'll read it out and then I'll kind of summarize it into my terms and how I put it across. So Ocean is how effective organizations manage their container infrastructure at scale, transparently, and with low effort. Ocean ensures cloud-native applications always get continuously optimized infrastructure that is balanced for performance, availability, and cost needs. Sounds perfect, right? But what does it actually mean? You know, how do we scale? How do we do it transparently? How do we do it low effort? You know, anybody can do those types of things, but they do tend to take time. They tend to take a bit of management to actually get them to work properly. We're always having to cater to specific requirements or do upgrades or make sure that we've got our infrastructure deployed properly. So Ocean will definitely help with all of those things. How do we get continuously optimized infrastructure? And that's something that we continually talk on. You can often get consultants to come in and do a bit of assessment and say, where can I save money? How do I optimize? And they'll look at it today and they'll give you a report based on today. What about next week when somebody changes something? Or what about the week after when we've got some more pods that have been deployed into our infrastructure? You know, we need to actually have that continually assessed to make sure that our infrastructure is running in the best way. That's something that we solve for. Availability, definitely still to the same SLA availability that AWS offers, and cost needs. It's last there, but it always comes up first. So particularly in the conversations we have with customers, it's always something that they're looking to reduce. And that's definitely something that we can address for. How do we do it? I'll jump onto it in a few further slides and touch on a few points that I think are interesting, but these are the kind of the three areas that we, you know, give people or make it enable people to be able to run. Part of it is visualizing the cost. You know, it's one thing to go through and reduce the cost, but regardless of what the bill is, particularly inside organizations, they want to be able to attribute that cost to whoever's generating it. So we give companies a way of being able to visualize that cost. Then they can attribute that back to an application or back to a namespace, you know, essentially back to a BU that's actually generating that cost, which is very, very useful, not so much for DevOps and SRE people, but definitely for infrastructure managers or people who own the bill and pass it on to the rest of the business. Often I find that it's not until that you pass that responsibility to cost onto people in your business that they start caring and want to actually take the action to reduce it down. There's a lot of things we do to make that available to people. Particularly one of the new features we added in was visualizing the network cost. That is something that's not always highlighted, but it's certainly something that we can highlight for people in our tool set. Maximizing resource utilization by pod-driven auto-scaling. So that's definitely a term that we come up with a lot through our solutions guides, our product overviews, is pod-driven auto-scaling. And what that means is we want the auto-scaling actions to be driven by what the pods are actually requesting, which I'll jump into that in a bit more later on. But essentially, it's making sure that we're not just saying this is what we want a scaling action to be, as was decided 2 years ago by somebody who doesn't even work here anymore. That's what we're going to do forever. That's how you waste resources. That's how you waste money. We want to make sure that we're actually scaling based on what our requirements are, what our workloads need, what the pods are actually asking for. And the third one there is advanced bin packing. So bin packing is one that it's a term that I think I only heard of it related to our solution, but I definitely hear of it relating to other solutions now as well. The way I describe it, and this is showing my age, but I describe it as essentially, glorified Tetris. How do we take our pieces, as we're shown in this little diagram in the middle, and combine them into the most efficient packing in together of utilizing the resources on each node? Yes, we can deploy our pods across a wide cluster, but if we pack them in together, we can end up with less resources being provisioned. Everything runs in a much more optimized fashion. And the third one here is around right sizing, which is certainly something that we need to take a lot more notice on. For us, if we're deploying infrastructure, that's one thing. The other thing is what are the resources being requested by the applications that are being deployed on our infrastructure, which we don't always have control over. It's a developer who's decided this thing needs 8 CPUs and 1 million gigabytes of RAM or whatever it is. We want to make sure that whatever resources are being requested by the pods on our platform, they actually need it and they're actually going to use it. And if they're not, let's right size them down, because there's no point deploying infrastructure that's not going to be utilized. It's great for our hyperscaler account managers, not necessarily great for us who have to pay the bill. So all these together are kind of highlighted onto 3 different themes as to what Ocean is focused on and what it can do for people. So the first one is confidence. We can be confident in what we're going to do when we're scaling our clusters out. There are different solutions that I'm sure Frank, as you said, Frank's going to mention Carpenter. Carpenter's there and available for you. It will do some of those things for you. It is an open source tool. Conversely, ours does offer that enterprise support for you. There's a customer I'm working with at the moment who was using Carpenter, who's moving to our solution, primarily driven by the support. We offer 24/7 enterprise support. Carpenter's an open source solution, and that's just the nature of it. But you do have support, but it's more community driven. Simplify. We want things to be as simple as they can when we deploy our infrastructure. Yes, there's things that we need to do to manage it, but we want to make sure that we can simplify it as much as possible. And there's things we can do through our platform just to make sure that we get rid of some of the hard tasks or some of the things that people do to make things be a bit more confusing and less clean. And saving time is really where that flows onto. It's saving time for people who are managing the environment. There's different tasks that we can do, particularly upgrades is always the one that I highlight with people. It can be a tedious process. It can be a long process to go through and do an upgrade. When you're doing it with Ocean, it is very, very straightforward, and most of the tasks are just there automated for you to run through. When I jump onto the different things that we are solving for, they really go into those three different categories. You know, what are we solving that's a management task? What are we automating? What are we addressing from the cost perspective? And then what are we doing around the availability perspective? And these different topics, I'll touch on a few of these, but I won't touch on all of them. But these are the topics that really we're talking with our customers, or we're solving for customers. Some of these have been around since the product was launched. Some of these have come out of customer requirements. You know, they want to have different things addressed through Ocean for them. One of the more recent ones is the one in the top, my left, top right, is auto update. Some customers want this, some customers don't want this, and it's essentially you know, us monitoring through EKS, monitoring the releases of the AMIs that come from AWS and auto updating them into clusters for people. And then as the instances get deployed, they're on the new image automatically. They're on the upgrade's done. That's available for some of our customers, or it's available for all of our customers, but it's there because our customers have requested it. And there's other customers who would turn that off because they want to go through a change control process to be able to do that. But that's just to highlight that we can incorporate features for our customers. We can continually evolve and bring things into the solution to make it a bit more straightforward to people to manage. But these are the topics that we generally cover, or the solutions that we generally address. And I'll touch on a few of them that I think are either interesting to me or generally come up with most of the conversations that I have with my customers. So the first group is around this cost optimization challenges. And this chart is one that always seems to make an appearance in whatever presentation I do. The one in yellow, that is kind of your environment without us being involved. And the yellow blocks there is highlighting the instances being deployed, the nodes being deployed. And then the blue line is the actual demand from your application. Thing to highlight here is you've always got more resources deployed than you've got demand from your application. So yes, we're meeting the requirements from our applications, but we're always above, we're always over provisioned, we're always paying more than we actually need to. On the other side, with Spot being involved, we're always matching what is actually required from the application with the resources being provisioned. And you can see there's a mix of different colors there because we're using different instances, depending on what customer wants to do, using different instances or VMs or, you know, to provide those applications. Some customers have got a baseline of reserved instances, so things covered by whether it's an RI or a savings plan, you know, that's covering off their baseline. And then for all their peaks, they're using Spot instances. Some customers do have, oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, so some customers have a baseline of reserved instances just because they want to have that surety and costs, and then they use they burst up into Spot instances. I didn't cover that off at the start. That's my apologies. For Spot instances, just to give you the 10-second description in case people don't know what they are, they're essentially the spare, this is my description anyway, a spare capacity that hyperscalers have available through whatever they've got deployed into their data center. They sell it for cheap because they want to derive revenue from it. If they get somebody to use those resources who are going to pay either on-demand rates or RI rates, they'll give you in AWS's case, 2-minute notification. In Azure and Google, they'll give you 30-second notification. They're going to terminate your instance. We use those because we've got all the telemetry behind it as to what's the runtime going to be of those instances, how long are they going to last for. We can predict ahead of time when those instances are going to be interrupted. And if we're not predicting ahead of time, we're reacting to things that are coming through EventBridge generally from AWS. And we've got all the automation in there to replace those instances. So that's why we use Spot instances, because we can handle all those interruptions, but because they save you money. AWS, depending on your region, depending on your family, can be anywhere from generally 60, 70, 75% reduction is what I've seen. Azure is up to 90, even in Sydney, it's up to 90% reduction. Google does vary quite a bit, but that's the cost savings that you'll get. As long as you can handle the interruption, which we can, you know, we can use them very, very safely. And then on-demand instances, they still do make an appearance in here. So even though we want to get rid of them as much as we can because they are expensive, they still do make an appearance because from time to time, spot instances aren't available. And we just have to revert back to on demand. That's essentially our catch-all. Because we want to make sure that the resources are there to run applications. But the key thing here is that all of these resources, all the provisioning of it, it's all being driven by the application requirements. So everything that's running on our platform, that's dictating what resources are being provisioned. We then have other AI, you have to say that word these days. You have AI that runs in the background to say, which instance should I use? Which size instance should I use? Which family instance should I use? And it does change depending on the time, depending on the day of the week, as those markets change. The other thing is to make sure that, yes, it's good to pay less. We might be paying 60% less for our instances, but even when I'm getting a good sale, I want to make sure that I'm actually using what I've bought for. So this is where our bin packing component comes in. On the right-hand side, you can see there's a number of instances deployed there with our pods living on it, but there's lots of gaps, there's lots of white space, there's lots of waste of resources. You're paying for that, but you're not necessarily using it. On the other side, we've consolidated things down, we've packed things in. Yes, we have a bigger instance there to be able to run that. We've got less nodes, and it really just ends up in less costs. And this is something that continually runs all the time in your cluster. We're consolidating pods down onto nodes and then turning off nodes where they're not actually required anymore. So where we can, get things like consultants and say, hey, turn this off, reduce this, whatever it is, this is something that runs continuously. That's part of our service. And that actually generates substantial cost reduction for our customers. We've seen anywhere from 20 to 40% cost reduction just through bin packing, just through removing wasted resources that you're not actually utilizing. The other one that's really driving a lot of cost reduction is this right-sizing piece, which is really becoming more of a focus for people. It's becoming more of a focus in conversations I'm having with customers. And these are just some charts to highlight what's actually happening with the resources that are being requested. So from a CPU perspective, 49% of containers use less than 30% of the requested CPU. So that means that our developers are putting in there and saying they need 10 CPUs, they're using 3. Wasted resource. Same with the memory. 45% of containers using 30% of requested memory. So again, they're putting in a number for their requested memory requirements. We're having to fulfill those. We're having to accommodate those on our cluster, but people aren't using them. It's a waste of resource. It's a waste of money. And it's not necessarily visible to people. Certainly people who are just assessing the bill, they don't see it. It's hidden away. The way that we address this, hopefully that screenshot is visible. But essentially we're showing people what's running in your cluster, what is actually using less resources that are being requested. And these are charts that we make available to people. You don't have to be a DevOps engineer to be able to read this. Anybody can read this and say, what's this workload doing? We scale it in different or highlight it in different colors for people so that they can assess it, and you can feed that information back to your teams. One of the new next feature releases that will come for this is to add this in as an automated option for customers. At the moment, it's given it as charts and information for people, but it will progress on to being automated options where we can actually go and change the resource requirements of the workloads that are running inside the cluster. And really, it's just to eliminate this over provisioning that's being there. The other one, which I certainly find this interesting, that was added in last year, is with the addition of Graviton-based instances, often we find that the on-demand rates for these are cheaper than other normal instances. So we see, I don't know how readable it is, but for the Graviton one at the top, it's 0.544 cents per hour to run that instance. The C54XL, it's 0.68. It's more expensive. So we want to use the Graviton instance if we're using on demand. But when we look at the spot instances down the bottom, the spot instance for the C54XL is cheaper. How do we swap between them? How do we have to go through and change it from one instance type to the other, or one family to the other? How do we handle our AMI being different? The way that we've solved this for our customers, and it's our customers who are requesting this, is we allow people to, in each of their node groups, they can configure 2 different AMIs. As long as their pods support both CPU architectures, they can deploy it to those node groups, and we would then just choose the right AMI for the instance we're spinning up at one point in time. So in this scenario, if we had to spin up an on-demand instance to accommodate this workload, we're going to use the Graviton because it's cheaper. If we're then going to use a spot instance in this group, we're going to use the C54XL because it's cheaper. That's, again, just how we're making sure that we can save money through a simple feature like this. Availability challenges, that's always something that comes up, particularly the more I talk about spot instances to customers. Availability is kind of the next one that comes in, because inevitably, if you do run spot instances, you will have nodes coming and going from your cluster. And I always say to people, if you're running Kubernetes well, that shouldn't matter to you. There's always some workloads. There's always a special workload that has a special requirement that doesn't need to be interrupted. It's the most important one. It's got the CEO's diary or something on it. Who knows what's on it, right? But we want to make sure that it doesn't get interrupted. So the different options that people can configure. You know, we can configure node groups that only run on-demand, and then they just match through the node labels, through node taints, and the pods can land on nodes that need to run on-demand, and that's fine. They just run on there. All of our other workloads go on the groups that are running on spot instances and are generating cost savings. We can set different requirements in there, but we can accommodate all of these types of workloads. So if people have special use cases, you know, we can accommodate them. We can work in with them. Hopefully, most people would build their Kubernetes environments and build their pods so that they're able to tolerate interruptions. You know, whether it's by the workload itself or by running replicas throughout the cluster, whatever it is. But most people are able to tolerate it. But if there are special use cases, you know, that's not a showstopper at all. The other one I want to highlight is when we're using spot instances in the cluster, prediction is behind everything that we're doing with when we're choosing the instance. So over here is a bit of a heat chart that is showing the way that we're ranking and rating every instance in every availability zone throughout the world. So whatever region AWS has available, you can use our product in. So if you've got things running here, if you've got things running in America, if you've got things running in Europe, it doesn't matter. We can run through all of those regions. And each one of those regions, we're seeing on every instance type, what is the health of that instance? And to us, health means how long is that spot instance going to last? Because we might deploy a spot instance, it's up and running, it's saving money, but then it has to be replaced in half an hour because AWS has issued a termination notification. We can handle that, but it's not ideal. So if we can run or choose instances that are going to last for longer, it just gives us better results. It gives us a better consistent cluster. The other one here around the way that we spread nodes, you know, we want to make sure that we are spreading nodes not just across the different AZs in a particular region. Yes, we want to do that, but we also spread across the different instance types just to make sure that we manage the interruptions, because yes, they always do get interrupted. If we're using all of our nodes on the same instance type, you know, all of them are going to be interrupted at the exact same time, which again is not ideal. We can handle it, but it just means that it runs in a bit more of a clumsy manner. So we make sure that we balance things out. You know, let's have a balanced approach from instances that we're choosing. Let's have a balanced approach from AZs that we're deploying into. The other two pieces that we talked to around availability is the spot percentage. So as much as spot instances are going to save us money, we don't have to go all in on it. We can set a percentage so that, you know, a certain baseline runs either just on demand or covered by those RIs. You know, all customers seem to have RIs or savings plans. So if customers want to have a baseline that they know they're always going to be there, you know, they can configure that through us, and then they get the discount from their savings plan. The rest of it runs on spot instances as a bigger discount. And then the other one on there on the other side that I mentioned is falling back to on demand. You know, there's always pressures on the spot instance market. US East is probably what I use as the example whenever I'm trying to show spot instances that are highly interrupted, because it's the most on-demand region from my experience. If I want to show lots of red on my heat maps around the spot instance lifetime, that's the one I demo to a customer. You know, what do we do in that scenario? We fall back to on demand, and that's a configurable option. Most clusters from customers would have this selected. For my clusters in my demo environment, I turn it off because I don't care if my instance disappears, that's fine. It's just a demo lab. But for anything that's production or non-prod or QA, you know, we want those resources to be available and clusters to be up and running. So if we have to pay on-demand rates in that case, you know, that's just the way it has to be. Whenever those spot markets do recover and they become available, we do swap those instances out again. So it's again something that we continually assess. It's not like once you're off spot and onto on demand, you're then stuck. You know, we continually assess it and replace them back because, you know, we want to save money. Some of the management challenges that we address too, particularly around what customers ask for. There's different priorities in different clusters. My demo cluster, it's probably the lowest priority. Non-prod clusters, yes, we want them up and available, but if we can save a bit more money there, cool. Our production clusters, availability is key. So we have options in there around the way people can configure them. Non-prod, we can just say our number one priority is cost. So that will just influence the way that our algorithms run. We'll always choose instances that are cheaper. They might be slightly less runtime, but we will prioritize the cost. If we choose a balanced approach for our production clusters, it just means that we're prioritizing a bit of runtime because we want to minimize the interruptions to our clusters. Again, making sure that we can make the clusters up and available for all the workloads that are running on them. This is one that I mentioned at the start, which is tracking the cost. It's one thing to reduce cost. It's another thing to then be able to show that back to people. So this is something that's just available as a chart that people can consume through it. It's not like it's another module or anything they need to add on there. It's just available through the console. And it's just enabling people to see what is the cost that's running, whether it's per namespace or per label or whatever it is that you've got in your cluster. But tracking all of that cost, so it's compute cost, it's storage cost, it's network cost, consolidating that down and giving you something you present back to your business. Whether it's your infrastructure managers, CFOs, or the actual business unit heads, they need that information to be able to see what the spend is. This one is one that always comes up, particularly for non-prod environments. And this is something that is generally there as a native functionality through AWS. This is essentially just our implementation of it is, scaling clusters down to 0 during off hours. Generally, that's non-prod, test, QA, those types of clusters. Best way to save money is to turn it off. If it's not running, it's not generating any costs for you. You still pay for storage, obviously, but you don't pay for compute. So again, we support being able to turn clusters completely off during off hours, and that's something you can configure per cluster. Upgrades, always something that comes up, as I mentioned at the start. The way that we handle it is being able to do these deployments in what we call a blue-green manner. We can go through and make our changes to our cluster. So it may just be changing our AMI. It may be changing things like security groups or instance types or subnets, whatever it is, any of those things that we want to change. And we can then choose to do a blue-green deployment of our entire cluster. I remember doing upgrades of storage back in the day. We used to have to micromanage it and put in all the commands one by one. These days, these types of upgrades, you click a couple of buttons and you sit there and sip your tea while you watch it roll through. It's all automated as far as how it's actually deploying those, which makes significantly easier for people who are managing that infrastructure. With all this, we then also plug back into the different tool sets that people tend to use. So these are two examples that I most commonly come across. So Prometheus, being able to give you that visibility into your cluster, and then Terraform, of course, is probably the most common one that I see for Kubernetes deployments and being able to manage them all as code. We have our own provider there for Terraform. Everything's able to be managed by Terraform. Days of what people call ClickOps. I hadn't heard that. A customer mentioned that, called it that to me. The days of managing it through a GUI, through ClickOps, not as viable. Everything has to be done through code, and we support that. Customers, examples, people who are consuming us. There's a few different reasons that people do it. A lot of it is driven by cost, and they engage with us to reduce cost, which we certainly do for them. But a lot of it is also around how to make intelligent decisions in their clusters. There's customers that I've worked with where they've just had clusters running, having wasted resources just by, as I mentioned earlier, on scaling decisions they made. There's a customer I dealt with who they'd set their default instance as M512XL. Every time they scaled up, that's what they got. It didn't matter if they needed 1 CPU, 10 CPUs, didn't matter. That's what they went to. When they onboarded in their cluster to us, they ended up with a whole range of different instances, depending on what was actually required at the scale-up event time. And it essentially reduced a whole bunch of spend for them by reducing the wastage of resources. Another customer here down in Melbourne that I'm working with, they've onboarded a whole bunch of ECS clusters, essentially to save money, but then they're also bringing across some EKS clusters, which, sorry, Frank, that's where they wanted their support for our solution, opposed to Carpenter. It's a similar solution, but there are just a few things that we do on top of what Carpenter's able to do. And some of that is just the support through our support services and being able to give them assistance whenever they need it. Normally, I would run through a bit of a demo Q&A when I do any of this presentation with customers, which I won't do tonight, but certainly happy to do that with anybody who's got any sort of use cases, wants to ask me any questions. I've got my colleagues who are standing up the back as well. You can hit them up tonight. So Liam and Justin. I will put my contact details up at the end as well, but happy to address anything that's specific to your use case. I know a lot of this is a bit generalistic, so happy to answer stuff that's specific to what you're running in your environment. So just a bit of a summary of what we're addressing in management and automation. So management and automation means how do we reduce down the management burden? How do we automate the things that we can automate to get rid of the tasks that we don't need to micromanage, make your job a bit easier, give you back a bit more time. Cost, it's number 2 here, but it always gets mentioned first. You know, we want to be able to reduce the cost. We also want to be able to visualize it because unless we can see it, often it doesn't exist. So being able to see it in the console makes a big difference. And availability, you know, yes, we want to reduce cost, but we want to prioritize the availability as well. And we often offer a very balanced approach to that. Lastly, my contact details are here. That QR code will take you to my LinkedIn. Happy for you to scan it in and connect with me or take a screenshot of my contact details. Happy to have a conversation with anybody who wants to talk about anything that I've presented tonight or expand on any of those details for you. Drop me a message, send me a WhatsApp, send me an email, ping me on LinkedIn. Happy to discuss with anybody. Unless there's any questions that people want or are brave enough to ask, or you can hit me up after. Yeah, mate.
Do you Carpenter other than
No. So unofficially, and this is my opinion only. So our Ocean solution is about 7 years old. Carpenter is not 7 years old. I think Carpenter stole our ideas, but you know, that's just me. But no, certainly not Carpenter.
Yeah, for right-sizing the pod.
Yep.
Like, what are the metrics you're using? Like, you're using like CPU utilization, or you're like using for like egress response time, or like?
Yeah, so it's all around utilization. So what's the CPU utilization? What's the actual memory utilization? And then that feeds back into it. The other one I will mention, sorry, on Carpenter as well, is we support Azure, we support Google. You're not going to do Carpenter there. I feel bad for Frank.
No.
Anything? He's got his time. He's got his time later. Any other questions from anybody else? You can certainly hit me up afterwards as well. Awesome. Thank you.
Another quick question. Is it true that most customers that use Ocean say between 70 and 25% of their cloud spend, whilst reducing the burden on it internal developer teams and maintaining flexibility?
That's true. I'm glad you asked. Yes, 70 to 85%. But yeah, that's what most of our customers see. Some of that is spot instances. Some of that is the bin packing. Some of that is just turning off instances they don't need anymore. And all that's done automated through our tool. Thanks, Liam. Yes, mate. You just jumped in.
Yes, one last question. Okay, that's last one. So we saw about containers, bin packing, and similar provisioning, but what kind of solutions do you offer for something like containerless service? I mean, is it
Containers as a service?
Service?
So we will do, so I guess as part of our whole Spot solution set, Ocean will address anything that's container based. We have other solutions that will deal with more VM type workloads or more scaling workloads. Not so much the serverless realm.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand what are you discovered any problems?
Yeah, not one that we address, but yeah, definitely the others we do. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. Once again. For those who don't know me, my name is Kanchana. I am part of WSO2. It's good. It's today we ended up applying the Kubernetes. So, about 200 days ago, pinged me and said, speaker, can you talk about your experience in Kubernetes? So I'm going to take you through my journey. I got some photos, I don't have a lot. Starting from 0.7 when I first heard about Kubernetes. So before I think Google actually launched the website, previously, for example, if you go back and get that meeting, they say created by Google rather than created by CNC. So this was, and then it's obviously now funded on the free, and now I'm looking forward to be on 1.3. I'll share the slides as well, so that's me, and have the link for my email and social media, etc. Like the before Mark, and please feel free to connect, and happy to answer any offline questions as well. I'll be clicking between this one and some of the photos like I said, don't notice. We have our photos there. 2014, when I really got to know what Kubernetes is, was 0.7. I didn't know when it was really born. That was back in June. This was around December, just about when they were planning to launch the website. And I also realized this was actually based on a paper that Google has produced called Bo. It's a really good paper. If you are into distributed computing, and distributed, and there's a second paper as well called Omega, but the whole concept Kubernetes was born from. And this was the original website I told you about. You go to the archive and it takes you back to, I think that's November 3rd or 4th, for some reason I couldn't get in. But this is when I got to know what Kubernetes is all about. And I started reading about it. I didn't have this particular startup that it's sold by this previous one. So started reading about it, and okay, coming from the background, worked on Linux and tried to support this was kind of okay, this is like VM all over again, VMware all over again, but in a different way. Then around 2017, Google at then called GKE, Google engine, they called it first, and that was the first one to release Kubernetes and case. So I started experimenting 2017, around the time that second into a company. Started looking at what are we going to build on it, and we were working on identity. Started building on. And when I told the team, so you guys know about Docker, right? Docker also came like 2014, and Docker was still popular, but it wasn't really also mature globally, right? And Kubernetes was kind of scaling. So when I told the team that we're going to do this, they were just getting to know about getting the hang of Docker. And there were many tools as well, for Docker. And Docker had some tooling, but there were not many external tools. This was not there. What? I would say the French, but you just told us about Docker. Now we have to use Kubernetes. Why can't we just do it in the plain old VM we used to do it? Okay. So that was the first reply. Anyway, long story short, we hang along. And then we serious use of Kubernetes started around 2018. We started looking at further developing the IT stuff and we were searching where we really want to go, or we really want to build some DevOps capabilities around Kubernetes. Because Kubernetes was getting complex, even like it's for the people, right? One is there are many managed services. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was started around 2017 or 18. Yeah. So in the secret of voice back then, he actually said the friendship also, because I started complaining how bad EKS was back then. And then he actually shared their private spreadsheet. So we make recommendations as to how you guys want to EKS. So a little bit of saying how EKS works together. And then also around the same time, so our company also had a team in Sri Lanka as well. So we take this globally. We also became the first company in Melbourne to be Kubernetes certified commercial from CMPS. There was another company in Sydney that I think they beat us for the first company in Australia. But the idea was to get everyone trained up, and then there was huge communities globally popping up everywhere. This was something that didn't really happen with the likes of Linux in the early days, because Linux had a lot of integrations, etc. So from the Sudan and there are others, but anyway, I'm not sure if something Linux also became popular. But Kubernetes did not have this challenge. Communities globally rallied around. It's kind of what we've been doing for the last 20 years. That was, I think, one good thing happened in the Kubernetes community. Otherwise, it was purely Google, and nobody rallied around it. I don't think if you remember Mesos, Nomad, again, they were like, actually, Nomad was, Mesos was a great container orchestration product, but they didn't want to open it up. Same with Docker as well. Docker, I remember talking to Docker guys in 2017 saying, you guys have an awesome container product, but you don't have an orchestration product. So we realized so we don't need to really go do it. But so we started building the Sri Lankan community as well, and I started contributing to the Google ran a lot of the stuff, and then AWS and same as so what happened was actually the three key people who started Kubernetes and Google. One went to Microsoft. You guys didn't get one, right? But the others didn't get you. So that was one of the things I look back and say that was one great opportunity. And this was the very first meetup in Sri Lanka in 2018. I didn't have the photos, so Brendan actually did the keynote speak. He didn't come to Sri Lanka, unfortunately. One of the members here, George, most of you all know, from Microsoft, he actually introduced some detail to talk about when they started looking at it and why they make it open source. I mean, at least see the media Google saying one of the things like giving it away to the community. But they had a good story, and I think it's nobody as well. So then, continue to build the community. I work with the communities over here and other customers as well. And now it's kind of like enterprises also started really taking serious about what Kubernetes are. Obviously, starting to at the end of the time as well, and they started taking it seriously. They're a big user of AWS, and they actually got me to evaluate. That's where I kind of connected with both as well. They were going to, do it themselves, and I said, you can do it. Obviously, there are some reasons when you run on-prem, you kind of need to use, the product like Rancher and other things. But then the landscape around the Kubernetes also started growing, the tooling, because the Kubernetes itself was getting very, very complex. So there's two things happened there. There were a lot of companies came into market because of Kubernetes, similar to the Linux and VMware as well. I think Kubernetes, if I look at the last 30 years, it has created way more tooling and way more. Maybe something else might come in. They might do better than Kubernetes, but right now, Kubernetes is taking the lead. 2021, that was when WSUG acquired a company. And at the time, what I saw was a lot of consolidation. There was a lot of tooling companies. The reason is this, right? This is the screenshot I took today. If you go back when the first print of this, there was only very few cards. Right? The web for products, the service providers, but now when you look at it, it's a lot. Right? If you want somebody to actually use Kubernetes and manage Kubernetes, maybe that's okay, but then what are we doing Kubernetes for? Are we doing for application workflow, etc. And we talk about cost optimization. There's so many other tools need to be used. So this is getting really complex, and that's why I saw even NetApp saw the value in particularly that was one of the other institutions as well. So like TechCrowd, for example, that started acquiring them. Another company like Cisco and I think by Microsoft. I know many other smaller companies also. I think Core is probably maybe before that they had acquired, but there was a lot of consolidation happening. I think that will continue to happen, and obviously, even though we got acquired, one good thing about it is if you don't know about WSUG, they're an open source company. It's about 19 years still. Very recently they also got acquired, but not by a company, but by private equity firm. It was the same kind of company as well. So they are very encouraging, the engineers to go and contribute into the community. Right? So there are people from CTO to engineers to actually go and contribute in the community. They talk about it. Sometimes they are doing they contribute a lot to actually combination as well. So I personally started my contribution into the parts of the world. After the acquisition of those in travel, so I need to wherever possible to talk about in the community, the benefits of Kubernetes, etc. And in 2024, I think you'll see there's a lot more consolidation happening. Very similar to the consolidation happened around this is the statement Chelsea Hightower. Most of you probably know Chelsea Hightower from Google. He's now retired from Google, but he's still like developer advocate. He advocated a lot on Kubernetes. It's actually one of the reasons Kubernetes is better and better as well. Every time there's something wrong, they actually complain a lot about why can't we do this, why can't we do this. I mean, when I first started exploring Kubernetes you didn't have tools. You have to put the command and the hardware. There is the Meetup report, so it's a good way to learn, but then obviously in other tools like Q8 and even the night version of Kubernetes and many other tools as well. But yeah, it is becoming boring. So when Kubernetes is becoming boring, what is next? Right? I feel like it hasn't already become the default for most enterprises. They are already considering. A lot of the customers we have to talk to them on the run VM. I ask the question why. I mean, if they run on VM, why do you want to do it? I think now VM exactly for the same reasons what is happening to optimize in the cloud is overused. Right? You have one or two applications in VM and that's why just keep saying that, right? So they want to consolidate that as much as possible to spread the asset, okay? What that means is to get the maximum value for and so on. Typically, that's completed every 5 years. And before they decided not to operate the data center anymore, move to the cloud, they will have maximum. And they're thinking of doing that as well. So what things will be very, very important of the optimizations, I think, if you are not doing it, I think even if you're not going to use the plot to low traffic automation, you have to do it. A lot of the time I see it's nothing wrong with Kubernetes, so nothing wrong with the underlying. It's how you this. You go and ask an engineer how much runs do you know, they don't know. Because you're not running a model. Probably maybe sometimes it's not answer. Run through it and then you realize, okay, you missed it. So that is important. Security, obviously, that's a continual thing that we do. So, but more and more, because it's not going to be about AI, etc. So Kubernetes will play a big role in running those workloads. Because not everything, but they want to be running publicly available AI and models for prevention operations. So whether you're running on EKS or you're running on AKS, they might actually consider running on, my cluster hardware. Actually, there are restrictions available. And I'm sorry, I don't have this what's next beyond Kubernetes, but I think that if you fast forward another 2 3 years, nobody is going to talk about how to install Kubernetes or how to manage. I think that's going to be so away. Mostly it's figuring out, how you want to work with, optimal way. And what things that are missing in Kubernetes that can help you to declare those applications. So yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, oh no, I do one last slide. Everyone knows who this person is. He was the founding CEO of CNCA, and why I put his picture there is he's one of the key people that actually led me to contribute a lot into the community. And really awesome person that unfortunately I met him in Sydney and he said, what you guys are doing is great with the Melbourne companies and overseas, and you should actually take it further. So I actually gave that advice to the people in Sri Lanka, and they ended up running 2 community days. And I really wanted to get it out. Sadly, he did a lot to get from community perspective, hosting one of the communities. And then initially was obviously my first 2014 was really involving Google, but then we got together other people to talk to. So I invited him and he was someone very, very close to my heart as well. Yeah, any questions? I'm hoping that get the journey to go on. No. Let's move on. Okay.
One question that you have been associated with Kubernetes for so long.
How do you think the technology has evolved from start to now? Can you very slowly and repeat the question for me? So when you want to pick yes. So you have been with Kubernetes for so long, from 2021 onwards, so what's your experience with the evolution of Kubernetes? Well, you mean the Kubernetes platform? Oh, it's actually beyond my belief. I didn't think it would actually get to kind of this level. I thought it would actually slow down, but when enterprises start taking it seriously, there were things that is missing in Kubernetes that they now start adding. Even the Kubernetes API specification, I think if you remember, like 2 months ago, so we were talking around that as well. Yeah, I mean, the maturity is beyond belief, to be honest. Yeah. That's awesome. Let's keep.
Okay. Everybody's here. Hey, Jeremy, come from too. Okay, thank you for coming today. Thank you for the talk. We are also celebrating today 10 years of Kubernetes. Have you heard about it? Already 10 years. Yeah. Sorry, we don't have a cake. Yeah, I would like to extend thank you for all the volunteers that we have gathered among this journey. And we have prepared some walkthrough about the innovation that happens along this. Kudos for Carlos Santana, who has get a lot of information and put in the trivia there. You can check later. And so the start of Kubernetes is in 2014. A little bit in 2013 they have talked about it, but 2014, these 3 engineers from Google, Greg, Joy, and Brendan, they decided to set the sail. And the first commit of Kubernetes, of course, in June 6, 2014, just tomorrow. And from there to today is more than 100,000 commits that has happened in that repository. Microsoft really joined the Kubernetes train really early. Just 1 month after the announcement of Kubernetes, they decided that they will start supporting it. And the trivia, most of you may know that the Kubernetes come from this word from Greek that means helmsman or pilot. Interesting that today we use a lot of co-pilots, right? Maybe it has some similarities. And the bonus trivia, the Kubernetes logo was made by Monique Vandenberg. So she made this really cute helmsman Kubernetes. Okay, this was 2014.
And in 2015, Kubernetes 1.0 was released, marketing is readiness for production use. Additionally, Kubernetes was donated to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, CNCF, ensuring this could be community-driven and foster innovation. The first KubeCon took place in San Francisco, utilizing developers and users to share knowledge and celebrate the growing Kubernetes ecosystem. The DICE project launched CloudCasa at this event, introducing a crucial tool for managing and sharing Kubernetes applications. This 2015 milestones lies a strong foundation for Kubernetes. Okay, so in year 2016, 2 years after the launch of Kubernetes, it was the year of Kubernetes starting to gain momentum. Starting with the first release of Helm, which is a package manager used in Kubernetes. By the end of the year, Helm 2.0 was also released. Then There's the first ever KubeCon EU took place in London with over 500 attendees. Throughout this year, there are several major releases from Kubernetes from version 1.2 to 1.5 that include better scaling performance, more simplified deployment, automated cluster management, service discovery, and added support for Windows Server. In these releases, there are several tools that were also being introduced, like Minikube, that lets you run and test Kubernetes clusters locally. Then there's KubeADM that helps you with bootstrapping clusters, and also K8SUG or Kubernetes operations, which is an open source project that helps you manage your clusters effectively. Finally, Pokemon Go. Quick show of hands. Any of you have ever played Pokemon Go? Yeah, that's good. You might be thinking, what does Pokemon Go have to do with Kubernetes? Turns out Kubernetes was the backbone behind its success. When Pokemon Go launched in 2016, it saw an explosive surge, 50 times the initial target in user numbers. Kubernetes efficiently distributes workloads across multiple servers, ensuring smooth gameplay and minimizing downtime even during peak usage periods. The success of Pokemon Go showcased Kubernetes' capability to support large-scale dynamic applications, solidifying its reputation as a leading tool for managing cloud-native applications. Next, we'll go to 2017.
Yeah, so I finally had the chance in 2017 to play with Kubernetes and in production. So that was the first time I saw in a real production environment of Kubernetes, and with multiple clusters deployed in multiple cloud environments. So that was the first time for me that I finally had a chance to really use Kubernetes in a real production environment with real workload, not just, hey, I have a pod running on it. But on a more, what happened in Kubernetes at that time. So there's been Kubernetes in Docker, which been released, and that allowed you to run Kubernetes, like it says in Docker, to be able to spin up some clusters with which you could run also on your laptop, which helped a lot for the experimentation and running some tests. There's been also a lot of work that happened on the storage side. So before 2017 or before the CSI or Container Storage Initiative, most of the providers that were talking with your cloud providers to provision some storage were embedded inside Kubernetes, so inside the source code. So there's been a lot of work to extract this, and I think it's only been last year, that's in 2023, that they finally managed to remove all the old code and finally use the CSI, which is some sort of plugin for persistence data. And also that's the time where Kubernetes with version 1.9 started embracing containerd. So there was some issues with Docker, and there's some, not really issues, but they become the new, a better version of Docker, if you want, and more open source than what Docker has been doing. So the containerd, the runtime was coming on version 1, and that's been used heavily within Kubernetes at that time. Yeah, and then 2018.
In 2018, Kubernetes graduates the honors. So March 6, 2018 marked significant milestones. Kubernetes became the first project to graduate from the GKE's first live. In 2018, Amazon launched GKE's public with Kubernetes v 1.10, boosting its popularity in the cloud sector. And also the container storage interface on CSI, it's a major in 2018 Kubernetes 1.13. CSI general availability.
Okay, now it's 2019. In 2019, we have 3 key points. The first one is in the Kubernetes 1.40, the Windows nodes, we get a high level about the production level supporters. And the second one is about the container storage interface drivers and making a big process development and making storage integration even more seamless. And the third is for the developers. And we in the Kubernetes we want to 6 and the Kubernetes with the customer APIs more easily. So
I'm Jeremy, and let's see how Kubernetes changed in 2020. And during this year, I believe the Kubernetes team have more time and more work to do because of COVID-19. And so there's a lot of change here. Let's see the first one. The first one is release cycle. They shortened the release cycle to 3, from seasonally to 3 times per year, sorry. And then they can have more time to do this software development. And the next one, in Grace case, a new home. So they change and move the Ingress API from the original beta 1 to the official one. They're going the set of network key features. And last but not least, the Docker runtime duplication warning. They recently they use our users use the Kubernetes. We can manage the pod, we can manage the cluster easily with the Docker warnings, and then they have users have a greater flexibility and also centralization in container management. Thank you.
So from a personal point of view as well, in 2021, so I launched one of my companies, and I needed a Kubernetes cluster. So that was the first time I had to build a Kubernetes cluster from scratch. I didn't want to go with one of the big provider because you're a startup, so you need to have some lower your cost. So I found some cheaper version, but I spent a bit more time looking at building my own stuff. So that was the fun part in 2021. But there's been also a lot of things that happened at that time. So Kubernetes 1.21 was released in April and came with quite a few interesting features like cron jobs, which were already present, but it's been graduated. Support finally for the dual stack of IPv6 and IPv4, and some enhancements on the security and the storage. So there's been a huge adoption of Kubernetes and cloud adoption. So that's been reflected in the Cloud Natives survey. And a lot of the big brands have been embracing Kubernetes. So there's a bunch of names. I'm not going to cite all of them, but yeah, it's been an important year, 2021. 2022.
Yeah. Okay, 2022. So as announced before, Docker was starting to be supported, and so Docker Shield was removed from Kubernetes version 1.24, and it marked the revolution for the container runtime interface. There is more improvement in security. Security is always being something that it is important, and then this includes also token management for more granular controller over permissions, and the logging, improving the audit logging capabilities. And then in the the beginning of the year, version 1.21, it brings more enhanced the networks, giving support to the gateway API, so developers could make more granular and the topography of the networks inside Kubernetes.
Right, and now to 2023, which was actually only last year. So with 2023 came the release of version 1.28 in August, and this introduced quite a few features, including security improvements, CEL for pod security vision, and general availability of 6-door integrations. And there was also quite a few major events. So last year, a lot of events came back on track. We had more in person, and massive attendance included KubeCon Europe, which was hosted in Amsterdam. And personally, I had the privilege of attending in person. It was great to join over 11,000 other participants. And also we had Chicago and Shanghai. So really these were coming back for action all around the world. There were also Q days such as ones in India and Singapore, and these all featured Verizon keynotes and workshops and networking opportunities, ranging from lightning talks to full-on presentations and demos. So technology-wise, there's also the rise of platform engineering in 23, which should show the continued growth of platform engineering, as K8 was the core foundation of building self-service platforms. And this aims to increase productivity and also just empower developers, streamlining the entire delivery process of software. As mentioned, continuing from 22, there was a focus on security, as this was a top priority, and this meant addressing vulnerabilities and improving authentication across all aspects, and promoting secure coding practices using tools, including but not limited to Kubernetes, Hunter, and KMUS. Finally, in December came the initial release of version 1.29, which had a great focus on observability with features like enhanced metrics and controller runtime.
I guess find that these information we share is useful to you. So 2014 actually tomorrow.
2024. 10 years.
So tomorrow actually that's official OCL Kubernetes. So I'm very happy you guys join us to celebrate Kubernetes. And one release this year, even we're not even like halfway yet, but one of the big releases is 1.30. So each release, I don't know if you guys know, there is a code. So the code is rules. It was GKE on 17th April of this year. The theme is scaling new heights. So everything is about how to enhance the security, improve the secret management, how to optimize the MTRS for the service mesh, and also enhance the performance, especially around the schedule, to be able to support large scale, high density Kubernetes clusters. So the other key enhancement or improvements is from the usability and the scalability. So there is a new tool part of the CTO to dividing, to troubleshooting the simplify troubleshooting. And also HPA, that's the horizontal port, also scale. There is a little improvement actually. Yeah, talking about KubeCon, that's the flagship event. Have you guys joined any one of the events? Except for me and yeah. So if you guys are willing to join, we can also special for us, we can provide a 50% discount code. And this year actually even better. So previously the events only running from US, EMEA, but this year China, we used to also have the events. But this year we are adding another event in Asia Pacific. So in addition to US, EMEA, and China, we also have India. So which is much more closer to us. And the price, the ticket price, to be able to fit our culture, Asia people don't want to, pay that much. So I believe the price is a lot cheaper, compared to US or Europe. So we have France in March, I think that's March, and China actually in Hong Kong, that's August. And then followed by the US at Salt Lake City. That's November timeframe. And for December, if you guys want to celebrate in India, that's December in India. I believe it's in Bangalore. Yeah, you guys know Bangalore. And this year also from Paris, the KubeCon Europe. So we just announced the Cube astronaut program. I was talking like I've mentioned like 100 times already. So yeah, join me to become a CNCF Cube astronaut. And the other big thing I noticed from this year, actually even before this year, everybody is talking about AI. So guess what? Majority of the AI workloads are actually running on Kubernetes. So it's very much relevant. So we learn Kubernetes, we learn a little more AI related stuff. Yeah, you guys should be able to get a very exciting job within the space. And the last one I want to talk about is, I think Jeremy mentioned, moving forward, only 3 release every year. So literally every 16 weeks, there is a new release. The next one will be 1.31 in August. I'm pretty sure, over the time for the second half of the year, there will be a lot of new stuff will be introduced, which I don't have the insights yet. That's what I'm going to cover.
So thank you. We are this Kubernetes user group that Yongkan has started in Singapore. We've come here to Australia, then expand to Canada, UK, and we will soon conquer the world. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Don't leave now, okay? We want to test your knowledge. Okay, actually, before we test your knowledge, let me invite a friend from AWS.
Yes.
He will talk about over the last 6 years, the innovation from Amazon. EKS is one of the very popular Kubernetes, very popular.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. My name is Frank Fan. I'm a container specialist SA from AWS. It's very exciting today. It's exactly the same day, 6 years ago. EKS went live. So what a moment. So today I'm going to share you past, now, and future about EKS. So first of all, many people raise your hands about using EKS, right? Using Kubernetes and EKS. So Kubernetes started as an orchestration platform, right? It's just a tier to do the orchestration. But now you can feel more and more customers, they have treated Kubernetes as their platform, right, for everything. You can see on top of that, you have your lots of add-ons, observability, security, traffic control, security, so on and so forth, right? And even more, we mentioned 2023 is the year of platform engineering. Lots of organizations want to consolidate that workload and create that internal developer platform using Kubernetes, right? And then 2023, 2024, the world everywhere, AI. We need to understand how to run this AI machine learning workload, training inference on EKS. So as you can see, it's become an operating system, right? It's everything. It's not just about the infrastructure, it's about your code, about your application and your workload and your data. So, which means it's awesome opportunity for us, for the community, for people already like you, you're pioneer in this cutting edge, to leverage your knowledge to make it broader, make it bigger, and have bigger impact. Now, our goals as AWS, right? Our view, look at AWS, look at the Kubernetes is we want to help customers make it easier in 3 different areas. The firstly, simpler. How to simplify your day-to-day operations. People mentioned about the challenges, right? Mark, you mentioned so many challenges. Upgrade. Nobody like to embrace like an upgrade life cycle, right? So how to make it easier. Second one, empower you and supercharge your capability. For example, today you may have a large language models running on EKS or other platform. So how can make that provide the high performance to serve that big workload? The third one, standardize. So this one is more about, there are so many toolings and applications in the ecosystem, right? How can make sure we're compatible with most of them, and also we contribute back to the community. And then as user, you can focus on your most value-added work, and then leverage your expertise, and don't need to worry about lots of the heavy lifting about this day-to-day operations. So look back, So it's already 6 years, right? So yesterday I look at this slide, it's still 5 years, but today it's like 6 years. Since from 2018, went live. At that time, probably you can think this journey start with 3 main themes. The first theme, first couple years, focus on the control plane, right? Make sure the control plane is highly resilient, and we make sure we can cater for any unexpected failures and make it a solid platform. And then start from 2019 to 2020, focus on the data plane. In this time of year, we reduced some features like managed node group. Mark already mentioned some challenges when you do upgrade. Managed node group is a way to streamline this upgrade process. And also provide lots of add-ons. So running add-ons to help you to simplify your day-to-day management. And then from 2022 to 2023 ongoing, this focus is about how to make it easier for you to use the Kubernetes, use EKS, not just Kubernetes itself. It's a complete tool set for you, right? For lots of the application add-ons, for lots of the support for different type of instance, and also different type of the storage in backend. It's hard to explain so many things. As you can see, the numbers going up, right? We're not stopping here. Every year, every quarter, every day, we're working on some new features. And here, Carpenter, I already had a deep dive talk in the forum in January. You look at that video about the feature of Carpenter. Basically, it's a open source lifecycle management for your nodes. And also, even better, you can see other cloud providers already embrace this journey. Azure already provide a cloud provider for Carpenter. Also, machine learning and AI ML, that's the key thing we want to focus on and make sure we can support the customers. So you can see lots of new features here. Some of them, because when you say accelerated compute, we'll see in the future more and more integration with hardware. So it's very important we can see support that feature. The hardware can provide it with the latest driver, with the latest hardware-aware features. For example, this elastic fabric adapter provide a high throughput, and also the accelerated storage. Today, you can mount the S3 mount point using CSI driver. Very easy way to leverage the S3 storage. For the machine learning AI ML, so we have a project called Data on EKS. You scan the barcode, QR code, you can see lots of the reference architecture and kickstart code, and then can deploy that in a few minutes or even, so depends on the patterns. And you can see everything up running for you to learn and modify to suit your needs. Hi, this is the past. All right, can we predict the future? What it look like? Okay, no surprise, AI ML again. So here you can see more and more integration with AI ML. So more features. I wouldn't go to details, but some of them you can see integration with the latest NVIDIA drivers, and also we provide accelerate AMI to support that instance, support a GPU instance. Now I'm going to show you future look like from 5 years now, right? So this is our point of view is going to continue on this journey to simplify and standardize and make it easier. So first of all, cluster management is a common challenge. When you grow bigger and bigger, more and more cluster, how are you going to manage them efficiently, right? So here we have a concept called cluster vending machine, make it easier to provision the cluster, not only for your platform team, but also for your developer directly, for them to run their environment in a newly created cluster. And make upgrade easier and simple, and support more compute and components options in terms of the instance type, in terms of spot instance, and also different type of the features. And also the Kubernetes everywhere. So the second thing is we not only just provide in the cloud, right? We'll also provide EKS anywhere to run that Kubernetes on your hardware in your data center. And also provide EKS on Outposts, which is AWS managed hardware in your data center. And also hybrid node and cluster management is going to manage both, right? In the same way, manage both on-prem and also the nodes in the cloud. Make it more efficient. We will provide more features to do the performance tuning to optimize for the large language models and for the massive clusters at scale. All right, public roadmap. Here is a QR code. You can just jump in to look at all the features already in the roadmap we are working on or we are considering. And this is resources you can get your hands dirty and learn more best practices. The EKS blueprint is so cool. As I mentioned, this reference architecture and also the Kickstart code running using Terraform or CDK for you to kickstart your workload very, very quickly. All right, that's me.
We are going to do the quiz final series, like we're going to test your knowledge. But not just test your knowledge, you got to change the nice swags. So we do have the swags from WSO2 and also sponsored by NetApp.
While this is loading up, it's up now. So is everyone connected to the Wi-Fi? If not, here is a QR code. There we go. All right, if you could take the time to quickly fill out the feedback form, it would be greatly appreciated. Or open it and save for later, as we will move on to the quiz. It is this one. Thank you for your patience. And here's the QR code for our quiz tonight.
While you guys are getting ready, just to show off, some of the swag. This nice backpack. What else? Yeah. Wow, I've got a very nice, drinking bottle. Also, what else? Yeah, it looks like there is some tissue as well, and also some nice
Coffee lovers, tea lovers,
and tissue. And some, bouncing ball if you guys want.
or stress balls, yeah.
And some, nice notebook.
All right, it looks like pretty much ready. So let's get started. So as usual, there'll be 10 questions relating to both of the main topics for tonight and accuracy and speed. Firstly, we have, which major cloud provider does Ocean run on? Is it AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or all of the above?
That is more than Casa. Not correct.
Right, so that was not tricky at all. It was all of the above. Moving on. Second question is, Ocean can achieve savings of up to, and I believe this was revealed in the Q&A, so either 30%, 50, 80, or 90%. look to the back corner for some hints. Fortunately, that's not an option. But I'm glad most people did choose the higher numbers, so it was 80%. Question 3, bean packing is, so this might be tough, but is it a chore for my kids to do on bean night, or in my case, my siblings, running more spot instances in my cluster, consolidation of pods onto less instances to reduce costs, or weekly automated waste removal? Depending on your council, what day is it? Yeah, so it's a long one. So yeah, consolidated pods. Question 4. Which of these instance pricing methods does Ocean support? Will be on demand, spot instances, covered by commitments, or all of the above? And it was all of the above methods. So question 5, and so far I have WH Dreams leading. Which of these statements is most true? So Ocean will help with clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Okay, that was it. Ocean will help you achieve continuous optimization, automation, and visibility. Ocean is not suitable for production workloads, or 80% of Ocean clusters runs on spot instances. So we'll help you achieve all 3 of these. Next up, the second topic's questions. What was the name of the original GCP Kubernetes engine? Was it GKE, GC, Borg, or Omega? Original GCP.
By the way, I also do my own slides for you guys. Yeah, one book, which is pretty good, and some, beanie from, my collection from Red Hat. And also 2 of the beanie from
Okay, thanks for the quick ad break. That was GCE. So we did mention this, that it is quite confusing, looks to be, but it is GC. That was the original name. So next question, 7. Who wrote the first Kubernetes up and running book, which we just featured now? And if you're present at our last workshop, you would have received a copy, so hopefully you know this. What is that? Kelsey, Joe, and Brendan. Kelsey, Dan, and Liz. Joe, Liz, and Dan, or Kelsey, Brendan, and Dan. Sounds the same now. Let me just. So it was Kelsey, Joe, and Brendan. Question 8. K8's implementation is based on, is it Borg, Omega, and Mesos, obviously, Mesos, or Apache Cloud? was Borg. Next up, question 9. Which language got really popular because of Docker and K8s? K8s will be Rust, Python, Go, or C++. So statistically it was Go. And last but not least, question 10. Which is the biggest K8s-based acquisition? Is it Heptio by VMware, Rancher by SUSE, Isovalent by Cisco, or CoreOS by Red Hat? All right. So ended on a bit of a tough one, but it was Rancher by SUSE. Thank you for all 33 of our participants. So we're gonna go to leaderboard and time to review who won. Wow, congratulations to top 2, both got 9 out of 10. That's really high score. Thank you for everyone.
First winner. Is that here? Yeah, of course. Congratulations. Yeah. As normal, as usual, the first one gets the choice. You can choose any one of these. Okay, you can choose. You got more choice. Yeah, move down to the screen. You got the less and the less choice. And we will take a photo if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And we need you to help us promote by LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the catch.
Yeah, we got a nice bag here, and also drinking bottle. And here we got the book. Let me move over here.
We also have a CloudCasa subscription if you did want.
We also have the CloudCasa access.
Oh yeah.
The 6 months of CloudCasa access. If you want to choose option.
Choose a cold call.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good, nice choice. Yeah, take a photo. Congratulations. Yeah, we will need your full name and the email address.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the second winner. The second winner. That's one. Congratulations. Let's have a full access and all of these stuff here. The book is a pen testing Active Directory in the Windows base.
We don't use that.
Yeah, the cover is really good. Pretty good one, yeah. Cool, thank you so much. Congratulations. And the third one, go again. Yeah, congratulations. By the way, you guys remember this is the second computer stream. Which one you like?
Take something simple. I have
the badge. Yeah, the backpack.
Oh,
Or t-shirt.
No, it's fine. I had the cards on.
Yeah, take a photo. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hopefully soon in Melbourne we're gonna have more What's next? RKS, these are RKS. The next time, please use the full name, okay?
It's our Kubernetes service.
Yeah. It reminds me, when you register, we need your full name, it will simplify the registration for AWS security. So if you don't have the last name, they keep asking me, sometimes they don't have the last name, it will be harder to, register. For code correct.
You missed the.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You missed this one, Johnny.
Yeah, we need your full name and email address. Let's see who is next. Is that Samuel Pen? Is that
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, we still got quite a few choices here. Oh, that's one of the best.
Thank you.
Congratulations. The next one is Tarindu. Congratulations. Okay. I think we still have one more.
Yeah, we last one.
Water bottle.
Okay, then I'll.
Yeah.
No worries.
He thought it's a Johnny Walker.
Thank you so much. The next winner, I think Julia again. Oh, she's
Wow,
so
Julia.
lucky.
Yeah, I'm so lucky.
Congratulations.
I'm thinking cloud control business with which one is better? Cloud or code cloud, huh? That's right. Yeah, I go that way.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah. I want to learn it.
Thank you so much. What's next? That's Ashwin. Congratulations.
Ashwin. Wow.
Nice. We still got quite a few.
Yes.
Yeah, the book is actually directly on Microsoft related. Yeah, that's a novel. And many like. Oh, let's have a book. All right, thanks. The next winner, that's
We dream.
yeah,
Double dreams.
that's double head.
Oh, it's a fancy name each time.
What would you like? Yeah. Oh,
It's a fancy name each time.
Yeah, the size. Make sure the size is good for you. It's large. I'll probably again get it. Okay. Cool. Thanks very much. The next winner, that's
Is Hemant.
Hemantha.
Code Cloud. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can't. Yeah, we just congratulations. Give him a round of applause. Yeah, because for online attendees, except digital stuff, we can't give them. The shipping cost will be too high.
No, this name is fancy.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Don't fail me, bro.
Who is don't fail me, bro?
Oh. Oh.
Nice name.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah. Have a look.
We heard you.
I think that's Excel.
It's Excel, small. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Sam.
Thanks.
Siddharth.
The next one, Sita.
Oh. Hmm?
Yeah, these are the stuff we have. Yeah, notebook. Cool.
Sam.
Thank you. Who's next?
Jack, Sam.
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 Oh.
Congratulations.
Yeah. This is extra large. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a.
Yeah, this is a trendy round. Yeah.
Excel. Is it?
That's good.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Jack.
Yeah, we only got a few left. Who's
Jack.
next?
Jack.
Jack. Congratulations. Yeah, that's what we have. Yeah, pretty nice. Yeah,
That's good.
Thanks, Jack.
Howard.
Howard, the next one.
That's extra large.
Yeah. Pretty.
That's good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Danny.
Yeah, we only have 3 left. Yeah, the
Yes.
bouncing ball, anyone wants, you just take it, okay? We don't want to,
Danny.
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 That's what we have. So small or Excel. Yeah, this one's really good. Thank you so much.
Dunisha.
The next one,
Dunisha.
Tunisia. We only got to the 2 t-shirts here. One is small, one is the Excel. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Apros.
Thank you so much.
Afros.
The last one is reserved for someone need an XL size t-shirt, okay? Who is next?
Afros.
Afros. Looks like a pretty good XL.
Yes. I think it's been waiting for you then.
That's okay. Thanks everybody. Yeah, the last piece, if you guys don't mind, yeah, come over, we take a group photo.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Okay. Let's do the group photo.
Thanks everyone.
I got one of those at home. Oof, oof. So who didn't want to try? I didn't. Not easy, right here down. Nice. Nice. Good hustle.